Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the RedSeaPodcast. Back a day after expected, but back nonetheless with motivation, with excitement for Olympiacos being back to the Champions League where they belong after years and years on end. I myself was 16 when Olympiacos was last in the Champions League, and this wasn't even something I could dream of doing. So even in that sense, everything is insane. And in regards to the team that we're facing, I have the best man I could bring on the show. How are you, man?
Oh, a beautiful, beautiful introduction. Thank you very much. I am doing very fine, very well. Thank you. I'm looking forward as well to the game happening tomorrow. So it's going to be a big one, isn't it? What I will say is I believe we'll be recording This Is Mappa while the game is on. So we're gonna have me and Stel, my co-host on This Is Mappa. We're gonna have our eyes like this while we're trying to watch the game. But yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting game, I think, between the two clubs, isn't it?
Be interesting, unpredictable. I think you can call it whatever you may like. I think you'd be more than spot on. Before we get into anything, of course you mentioned Svel, and this is Mappa. The link is down below preemptively, so do go check these guys out because they're certainly way more organized and less chaotic than this show is. That's for sure. But let's get into that. There is beauty in chaos. That's the motto of how I work. So, let's get into the subject that has been on everyone's mind, at least on our end, after, as I mentioned, so long, and that's starting off facing arguably the underdogs of this competition, and they want to start earlier on in the summer and get a bit of your insight on how we went from Pafos being not a lesser known club, but a relatively newer club to champions, to defeating champions on champions to reach their first Champions League.
Yeah. So Pafos's history is short, but it's a bit complex. So they started off as two clubs originally, and that is Evagoras Bafo, and I believe the other team was Abob Bafo, and then they amalgamated together to create AEP, Athletic Bafo. And following the collapse of Ike Guglias and Abob Guiniras Beyas, they brought those teams in together and kind of amalgamated one team to represent Pafos in the Protathlima. Now, and that's Pafos FC. Following the creation of Pafos, some big investors came in. This is Roman Dubov and his associates. They also own Riga FC in Latvia and Rodina Moscow in Russia. So it's a group, like what Marinakis has with Forest and Rio Ave, just not as big of a conglomerate. They pumped a lot of money into the club. They've made their training grounds state of the art. They've invested a lot in the youth academies. They've invested a lot in the Pafos area in general. They pumped a lot of money into the team. And originally what happened was they were putting a lot of money into bringing in kind of marquee players. So there was players like Jason Punchin who'd come, Bakary Sanya, Michel Salgado was in the background and being waved around as, oh, look who we've got. But it was, there were also runs in the top 6. They'd arrive in the top 6. They wouldn't be in there. There'd be a lot of turnover of staff as well and things like that. Until they brought in the current manager, Juan Carlos Carcedo, who was assistant manager to Unai Emery when he won everything, when he was at PSG, Villarreal, Sevilla. I can't remember if he made it to Arsenal or not. But yeah, he was Unai Emery's right-hand man. And to be honest, when he was brought in 2 seasons ago now, when he first started, the Pafos' form was indifferent, let's say. And we thought, this is it. He's probably going to go. They'll probably bring somebody else in again. But for once, they stuck with their man. The first season, there wasn't much to shout about. I think they came in 4th or 5th. But with some investment, they got to a cup final. They won that cup final. And last season, they were in the Conference League. And I believe I can't remember if they... Yeah, I think they got to the last 16 of the Conference League. And on top of that, they ended up winning the league last season. And that's without, the big money name investments that they were doing previously. They brought in some former Olympiacos players. You've got Pepe, you've got Bruno, they brought in other players who haven't necessarily performed at other clubs, but did amazing for them. They won the league last season. They won it at a canter. They had a 2 games spare. In that last game where they won the league, they beat second place 4-0. So they really destroyed the league last season. So Champions League qualifiers for the first time. And Pafos are very well known for scoring late goals. So, and kind of getting results despite, not performing very well, say, at the beginning of a game. And that's how they got through the playoff, where they scored that. I think that goal, the goal that was scored, has kind of been on repeat in Cyprus. I don't know whether or not that's been the case in other countries, but yeah, they've shown that goal time and time again because it's a fantastic goal that they scored against Red Star. It was a really, really good goal. The money comes in. They've made a few signings since then. One we're probably going to talk about a bit later. They're you could say like a meteoric rise, but I think it was kind of set up for them to get to where they did. Cyprus had already teams performing well enough in Europe. That meant that the coefficient was better. So there was a team from Cyprus that was bound to get into Europe, and it ended up being into the Champions League stage.
I feel like it's a mix of the rise that can only be compared to like a road to glory, say, on an FM or something. And as you said, right place, right time. Right? It was as well of a setup as you presented it to be. And it's as much of dreamland as it gets for Pafos fans who have gotten, I feel like, more and more invested into the club as more and more was invested into the club and the city, as you said, by the new owners. And it honestly felt like, and it still feels like, because I think that Pafos are still gonna continue improving. It doesn't seem like a one and done, like for example, Apoel was, but just the Jovanovic.
Ooh, yeah, this is a one and done. Let's not do that about Apoel, please, please.
Wrong phrase.
Yeah, but no. I understand.
More upset down.
Yeah. No, I completely understand this. Yeah. With Pafos. So the teams in Pafos normally, or let's say previously, weren't really supported so much. The one success that a Pafos team had, cup wins and league wins and whatever, previously was at Bob Guiniras Bellas, and that was a long time ago. And they got into the UEFA Cup qualifiers. Didn't do very well there, but yeah. But Pafos as a town, as a district, because there wasn't a lot of representation for Pafos other than that. As a district, didn't have like a team for the area to celebrate. So as soon as they kind of started to pick up, and with the owners working marketing strategies, business strategies, and whatnot, they've managed to lift the club, and people are starting. Well, not starting. People were already showing up to the stadium there, and yeah, it's a pretty rocking place to be when it's full.
It's a risk taken for sure, but it's one of the rare football stories where the risk has continued to pay off more and more and bigger, right? And to move a bit before into something you said and something that set me up perfectly. There is a few familiar faces in Pafos from our side.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the only one that doesn't play that much of a role is Papadouis, that's on the goalkeeper lineup. But
yeah,
the two familiar faces that I do want to talk about, and especially one of them, are familiar for all the wrong reasons on our end. Because it is one player that was known for his mistakes, and one player that, if I am not mistaken, played for Olympiacos once or twice. I think so, at the very least. I don't know if you want to start off with Bruno, that somehow magically turned into a right back, as far as I can see.
Yeah. So Bruno, so he was originally signed by Omonia from Olympiacos, and he was doing well enough. Omonia were playing him up front or out on the wing. He was doing fine. He wasn't doing the numbers that people were expecting. So when Pafos offered to buy the player, the club was kind of like, yeah, take him, no problem, take him. And originally he still started kind of in a more forward role, but as time went on, he moved into this right back role. Like, I mean, you call him a right back, but the way that Pafos play is more like a wing back. So there's a lot of blasts forward. You try to get the ball out on the wing, try to get a cross in. So he's still doing the winger role, but from further back, which I don't also understand, but he seems to be doing well enough at it to stay in the team. So, yeah.
And from a transformation that has somehow brought the best out of Bruno, at least attackingly, to a complete rebirth of a career and a player that is arguably Pafos' player of the year last year, and that's Pepe.
Yeah.
What even happened?
it's very difficult to gauge. I think Pepe originally came to Pafos on loan, and he came with a point to prove. Obviously, his time at Olympiacos didn't work out very well, so he had a point to prove, and he went to Pafos, and he had a pretty good season the first season as well, which Pafos decided to make the loan permanent after that. And because they did that, he kind of kicked on and got even better. Now, what Pafos have is they have a lot of depth, especially in the middle of the park where he operates, and he's got a lot of willing runners around him as well, which is perfect for a player of Pepe's. To the advantage of Pepe, let's say, he's very good at spraying the ball around the pitch, from what we've seen, and yeah. So when you got players like Bruno or Correa or Dragomir, or name all the forward players you want, when you've got them running around and counter-attacking and putting a lot of forward pressure on the ball, it's brilliant for him. His job is very easy after that.
It seems like another perfect piece to the puzzle that has been the rise of Pafos in general. Also, my connection does not want to be with me today, so I hope that stuff is as understandable as it possibly can be up to now. But going from familiar faces to not so familiar and certainly very unexpected to be at Pafos. You mentioned someone without saying the name, but I think everyone knows who you mean after all that's been happening. So
Yep.
I'll give you the floor once again to completely analyze a question that a lot of us thought ever since the start, and that's how.
Yes. So Pafos, they signed David Luiz. For people that might not know, Pafos have signed David Luiz, but everybody knows, all the social media accounts and Sky Sports and wherever sports channels you watch, that ended up reporting David Luiz has joined Pafos FC, and a big surprise for everybody. Now, what we kind of had a little bit of an inside track on the transfer on This Is Mappa, but that's because basically we seem to have found out like all these transfers that Pafos were trying to do that didn't quite work. These big transfers. So at one point there was Mario Balotelli that they were looking at, for instance. They were looking at. I can't remember, but there was a couple of other big names that just didn't seem to work out in the end. So yeah, for us, it wasn't quite a surprise that they were going for him, and that they were in discussions with him when we were reporting on it like a month, 6 weeks before the actual announcement. The surprise was that they actually got him. Oh, we've lost Dennis. We've lost him. I can keep talking. I'll keep talking. So Pafos signed David Luiz. Big surprise for everybody. And the people of Pafos when he arrived, on the plane, was he got a big old welcome. At one point, the police were calling the people back, and it's the most Cypriot thing ever. The police were going, "Adere Kubelja, Dostulion Dopo." So, come on, lads, give him a bit of room. On the megaphone, the sirens going off, and people were taking selfies with him. It was an event. What we have seen, so obviously one of the reasons they brought David Luiz in is obviously for his experience, his technical skill. Despite his age, he's still a very good player. But what we have seen as well is, and this is probably the main reason why they brought him in, is for marketing purposes. Like a lot of people, so some people in Brazil and in Latin America were already following Pafos anyway because of all the Brazilian players that they signed previously. But as soon as David Luiz lands in Pafos, then the whole thing changed. Like their Instagram account had grown like tenfold. People commenting, asking for shirts, looking for tickets. It's been a big boom marketing wise for Pafos. So yeah, what I will say is, don't be disappointed if he doesn't start the game. What we've seen is Pafos have got a winning team most of the time. And Caicedo likes to keep a team that's winning the same, really. So I suspect David Luiz will make an appearance, but I don't think he's going to start the game.
I mean, the perfect mentality is, if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? Why change the team that's going on to win? And thankfully, I have the setup that I have, and I heard everything that you had to say, even though I dropped from here. And the last point that you made is basically what I was going to lean into, especially with I think one of the most viral clips of the summer, football-wise, easily. I think the move got reported as a surprise move by, as you said as well, all the major media, especially the day before and the day it got announced, which got way more eyes on Pafos than I think even they initially expected when they went ahead for the move. But of course, as such moves happen, they're followed by some type of controversy, which has also brought some bad eyes on the club as well.
Yep.
So for those that don't know, do you want to go ahead and talk about it?
Yeah, so I don't know too much about this. I only saw the headlines, but in essence, it seems that either David Luiz or somebody in his entourage has been blackmailing somebody from not revealing an affair that he's been having. Now, that person came out, said that they were having the affair, and also that they were being blackmailed by David Luiz to not say anything. From there, I don't know what exactly has happened, other than, he came out and did a video on his social media to say that, none of this is true. This is all lies. This is unexpected. I don't know who this is. Now, I'm not sure how that developed after that. But yeah, I will say Cypriot football always has something bubbling underneath. And so people in Brazil were saying, oh, that's why he wanted to leave Fortaleza in Brazil, so he could get away from whatever situation he was involved with there, which has put a dampener on things. But yeah, it's David Luiz. But it's the kind of character that will have headlines, good and bad, following him. I mean, there's that there's that famous video of when Chelsea won. I can't remember what they won, but he's completely drunk off his head, and he's got the microphone, and he's going, Blue is the color. Start singing one of the Chelsea songs. So he's and we've seen as well kind of his character, the way he behaves on the pitch as well. He's a bit nuts. So I wouldn't put it past him blackmailing somebody about not talking about an affair.
It's the whole story is insane, and as you said, throughout his career, it's kind of followed him. The term controversy has more or less kind of followed him.
Mm-hmm.
Along with David Luiz, though, are big, but are big in the sense of purely football-wise. And one of the names that does stand out is Orsic.
Yes. Yeah.
So how did that come about?
Yeah. Unknown. I really don't know how that one happened. They signed him last January. And to be fair, I don't think they even needed him. They didn't need him in the team. The area that he plays in, it was already quite a strong team. They had a lot of people that they could play in that position. So, they brought him in. I don't think he even played that much to start off with, and then by about March, he was coming off the bench. April, by the end of the season, he was playing like a half. But yeah, he's not really. I mean, it's Orsic. He's playing well. He's I believe he's got a couple of assists. He's got a couple of goals as well in the qualifiers, but he still hasn't set the world alight quite yet. But again, it's because Pafos have got so many players in all these positions. You've got Ken Sema who was at Watford, who plays in a similar position as well. They seem to swap those two quite a lot. But yeah, it's I expect more from Orsic. I'm pretty sure we're going to see more of him, obviously, as the season goes on, with all the games that have to be played throughout the season.
As we get more and more into the team, big moves, plans, how we got here, more or less, I think one of the simplest yet most important questions that Olympiacos would be wondering is, who is the one player that people should be looking out for as the biggest threat tomorrow?
So, biggest threat attacking wise, especially someone who kind of goes under the radar, although the fact that me and Stel keep talking about him, maybe he won't be under the radar, is João Correa. So this is the right winger that's paired with Bruno on the right-hand side. And what we've seen from him as well is he's got a lot of pace, he's got a lot of power, his finishing is great, his foot pressing, the tackle, I believe he's represented Cabo Verde a few times. He's from Portugal, but yeah, he's a force to be reckoned with. He should be kept an eye on, especially at the beginning of the match. If he starts the game, the first 5-10 minutes, he's going to be an absolute menace. So he really needs to be looked after if you're Olympiacos.
We'll get into the expected 11s in a bit, but before we get into those final details of the game. Of course, we both played on the weekend, and the games went very differently, but
Yeah.
perhaps they were treated very differently. Did Pafos show just pure priority to the Champions League game, or did something go unplanned, let's say?
So, so this weekend, Pafos lost 1-0 to Apollon at home, which it's a surprising result. You know, we were expecting Pafos to do a lot better. And you could look at a couple of reasons for it. One would be, yes, they were probably keeping an eye on this game tomorrow. Another reason would be that they were, but what we've seen is Pafos do not like the opposition kind of being dirty. Let's call it what it is, being dirty. Apollon went in with a game plan, and that game plan was to try to disrupt Pafos as much as possible, get in the Pafos players' faces, try and force them off the ball, fouls, diving. You know, they employed all the dark arts. And what we've seen over the whole period of time that Garcedo has been in charge of Bafo is that they do not like when a team gets in their face. It's the way Apoel managed to get a few results against them. It's the way a couple of other teams have managed to get results against them, is to employ some dark arts. And that's kind of, if you have a look at the cards that were given out in that game, that's kind of what ended up happening. So Lucasen, for instance, he got 2 yellow cards, got sent off. Apollon had a player sent off. There was Apollon actually went down to 9 players towards the end of the game. And then there was also 3 sendings off the bench. Now, I can't remember the yellow card stats on that game, but they were plenty. It was not a great game to watch if you're a neutral. But there was a game plan that Apollon had, and Pafos kind of suffered for it. David Luiz came on after Lucasen's sending off, and he got yellow carded as well because of his reaction to the referee regarding one of the referee's decisions. And he got yellow carded, and you just see David Luiz go and just throw the ball on the floor and walk off. The Pafos, there was a tactical issue for Pafos as well, but I'm also pretty sure that they were keeping an eye on this game coming up as well.
As you said, as clear as it gets, Pafos don't deal with the dirtiest of game plans, the best. Flipping that on its head, though, knowing how a coach like Mendilibar likes to play and how pure out and out football you see from games that Mendilibar's coaching, how do you think Pafos will deal with the pressing, the constant running, the midfield focus, the crosses, and everything that has revolved Olympiacos in the past year and a half?
Yeah, so Pafos, the fitness level of Pafos, I mean, we've seen it over, since the qualifiers for Europe last season, is that they got very good fitness levels. Like the amount of late goals that they've scored to save themselves from elimination from Europe, for instance. Extra time goals, penalties. So the fitness levels of the team are quite high. Now, what they have had, however, is they finished their season middle of May, But then the qualifiers started in the beginning of July, and they had like a 3 or 4 week preseason before that, which it could take its toll on some of the players. But we've seen it before from Pafos that they are very resilient to the pressing. Fitness issues, they've got no fitness issues. Now, they like to play from the back and then try to kind of counterattack very, very, very quickly and with a lot of force. It's they sit back, try to spray the ball about in the center of the park, and then as soon as they see an opening, full overload. So we already talked about their fullbacks actually being more like wing backs, wingers. The wingers turn into inside forwards. You've got a 10 and a forward as well in there, and all these players surging forward as soon as they find an opening can cause a lot of problems for teams. Now, on the other side of that is if your team is very well organized, it's a dead game for them. Yeah, so there's as for working on the wings, I don't want to say it, but I also do want to say it. Bruno is probably the weak point. So attacking on the left is probably what Olympiacos are probably going to concentrate on. Taking advantage of that right back slot that's not quite what it's supposed to be.
So it is at minimum, at least, going to be a very attacking focused and very entertaining game, to say it as calmly as possible, and not that calm of a game for the non-neutrals.
Mm-hmm.
Now, getting slowly but surely into the details of the game. You said that, of course, you don't expect, for example, the David Luiz to start. You don't necessarily it would fit the plan. And as you analyze the plan that is expected by Pafos, who do you think will start?
So, Mikhail, who's a Cypriot goalkeeper, who's been a constant since Pafos got rid of Ivusic, the Croatian goalkeeper, over the summer. Unexpected. But yeah, he's been doing well enough for them. He's kept quite a few clean sheets over the Champions League qualification. They have signed this very young Ajax goalkeeper, but I doubt they'll be giving him a debut in Athens. I don't think that's going to happen. So Mihail is definitely in goal. Now, centre back, I've already mentioned him a couple of times, is Lucasen, and somebody that I think is very important for Pafos is David Goldar. He's a Spanish central defender. Now, he's very good at the back. And what we've seen as well is we've seen him come up with a few goals as set pieces as well. Sometimes he actually gets involved in the attack. So in that overload, you might see David Goldar just come out of nowhere and be in the box during the overload as well. So yeah, so he'll. That's what we've seen so far. And then we've got Kostas Pileas on our left back position. Now they might go with Bruno Langa instead, who's a new signing for them. I prefer Pileas. I think he's a better player out the two left backs. Bruno at right back. And then you'll have Sunjic, who used to play for Birmingham City. Hold on, I've got him here. Let me get his stats open. He's played for a few teams. Sunjic, where are you? There you are. Show me your teams. Yeah, so Birmingham, Hertha Berlin, Dynamo Zagreb. Yeah. So, he's played for a few good teams. There is a video of Sunjic being sworn out by the Hertha Berlin manager for not applying himself in training, which is really funny. But yeah, Sunjic, Pepe, and Dragomir in the midfield. And then you'll have João Correa on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side is the question. Sometimes it might be Orsic, it might be Ken Sema, but it also might be Jaja. Jaja was the free kick taker for Pepe's goal. And then up front, you'll have Anderson Silva, who is in his second season at Pafos. Last season, he was on loan, and he was kind of backup to Jairo, who was Pafos' captain for a long period of time, but he left during the summer. And despite him being backup, he still managed to get quite a few goals for the club, which is why they've brought him back permanently.
Sounds like a quality field 11 at the very least, and I want to use that focus on the attack, as we said, especially to ask a worrying question in everyone's mind, and to see how a very vital absence from Olympiacos looks from the other side's point of view. And that's to ask you, how much of a part do you think the suspension of Kostas Zoulakis will play in the game?
Mendilibar has got, he's proven himself to be a fantastic coach. I think he will have a solution to whatever player is missing. I'm an Aston Villa fan, so that semi-final that hurt me a lot. that hurt me a lot. So the way he kind of set up his team both games against Aston Villa, there were similarities between the ways he set them up, but there were some key differences as well. So I don't think he will be missed as much as people maybe think.
I think it's not the fact that there is any doubt towards Mendilibar's game plan. It's just the fact that people, including me, because of course I'm worried as well, are very aware of the importance and the key factor that Kostas Zoulakis plays in any game of Olympiacos, whether that's Conference, Europa, or Champions League, or against someone like an Asteras or Panathinaikos, for example. That's why I think the worry just stands there. And to slowly but surely, after a wonderful look into Olympiakos' first Champions League opponents in years, and hopefully a bearable question reading by me and my wild connection today for some reason. What's the score prediction on your end?
I think that, to be frank, I don't think Pafos are gonna cause an upset. Whilst the team is fantastic. The level between, I mean, we know it. The level between the Protathlima and the Super League. The gap is closing, but it's not quite there yet. Now, we have seen some surprises from Cypriot teams in Greece. The big one being the Anorthosis game. But there was at the time, I believe there was kind of like a bit of dismissing, it's a Cypriot team or walk it. Whereas this time, there's a bit more professionalism involved at Olympiacos. I think they will line up quite strong and be and be a bit too strong for Pafos. I mean, two of their first 11 didn't do that well in the Super League originally. So I see Olympiacos getting like a 2-1 or a 3-1 win.
We're the same. I've very confidently said a 3-1, but 2-1 seems honestly more than possible given that it's still the very beginning of the competition after all.
Yeah.
And a lot of both sides haven't even touched this competition before.
Mm-hmm. I will say,
once again,
I will say just a quick
one.
A 2-1 result for Pafos will be treated as a very good result for them as well.
Can you say that again? Because I didn't.
Yeah. So I would say that a 2-1 result, even if it's a defeat for Pafos, will be treated as a good result. Despite the fact that you're not going to get any points, the club will be welcomed back into Cyprus. There wouldn't be people kind of trying to start on the place for not getting a result. It'll be treated as a very good result if it's a close game.
I don't think anyone expects Pafos to go down without a fight. I don't think anyone expects Pafos to go down without a fight in most of the games, but especially now. But I think that the for the result is about the same on both sides. As I was gonna say before, because I think we've covered all we can in a very unpredictable start to a hopefully historic campaign for both sides. Thank you once again for making the time to join and give a wonderful insight to an opposition that I'm sure a lot of people were more intrigued by than knowing already. And again, I really, really hope that on my end it was as bearable as possible.
Thank you for having me. I had a good time. You get me talking about Cypriot football, it's very hard for me to stop.
That's why that hopefully in the future I get to have you on for the other series that everyone knows and loves as well, and that's the Chronicles, where you can just basically talk about Cypriot football for an hour and a half uninterrupted.
Beautiful. Yes.
We'll talk about sure. But for now, once again, thank you and thank you all for watching. And let's start a campaign that we miss so much. The right. See you all soon.